The night smelled of whiskey and wood smoke, the kind that clings to a person long after the fire's burned down. I was wiping down the counter at Jack's Saloon, the only watering hole for 50 miles of dusty prairie. My apron was stained from spilled beer, my feet ached, and my heart carried a heaviness I didn't let show. Folks came there to drink, to fight, and sometimes to forget, and I was just the girl who kept their glasses full. But that night was different. The sound of heavy boots on wood made the air tense before I even looked up. A group of bikers, rough, mean-eyed men who rode in from the highway, pushed their way inside. The whole bar went quiet, except for the clinking of spurs and the soft strum of the old guitar player in the corner. Their leader, a tall man with scars on his jaw and fire in his eyes, shoved through the crowd. I'd seen men like him before, men who thought fear was power, and women were something to take. He swaggered toward me, his jacket creaking as he leaned across the bar. "Whiskey," he growled. "Strong." I poured it, keeping my hands steady, though my heart pounded. I'd learned long ago never to show fear. He smirked at me, but when I turned away to serve another man, I felt his hand yank at my shirt. The sharp rip tore through the silence louder than any gunshot. My breath caught as the fabric gave way. For a moment, the whole bar froze. Every man, every woman, every soul in that room stared. And then, he saw it. Not the skin he'd been looking for. No. What he saw was the scar. A long, jagged scar that cut across my chest, pale against my skin. A scar I'd carried for years, one that told the story of fire and survival, of a girl who once pulled her little sister from a burning homestead while flames licked her own flesh. The biker's grin faltered. His hand dropped. Around him, the room stayed hushed, as if the prairie itself held its breath. I straightened my back, clutching the torn shirt to me, and I met his eyes. "This ain't your playground," I said, my voice steady. "And I ain't your toy." He blinked, surprised maybe that a woman like me, just a waitress in a dusty old saloon, could stand tall against him. And then, from the corner table, a man rose. He'd been sitting quiet all night, a rancher by the look of him, broad shoulders, sunburned skin, hands scarred by rope and fence wire. His name was Luke, though I didn't know it yet. He stepped forward, slow and steady, like a man who'd walked through gunfights and storms and didn't fear either. "That's enough," he said, his voice low but carrying. "You touch her again, and you'll answer to me." The biker sneered, squaring his shoulders. But the bar wasn't on his side anymore. The townsfolk, the drifters, even the guitar player, they'd all seen my scar. They'd all felt the weight of what it meant. Suddenly, it wasn't me who looked weak. It was him. He muttered something under his breath, tossed a few bills on the counter, and jerked his head at his men. One by one, they filed out, the doors swinging shut behind them. Silence hung for a long moment. Then the sound of boots. Luke's approached me. "You all right, miss?" he asked, his hat tipped low, his eyes searching mine. I nodded, though my hands trembled. I wasn't used to kindness. Not from men. Not since the night of the fire that left me scarred, inside and out. But something in Luke's voice, something in the way he stood, he didn't look at me like I was broken. He looked at me like I was whole. Over the next weeks, he came back. Always sitting at the same table, always quiet, but always watching over me. I tried to pretend I didn't notice, but in truth, I did. I noticed the way his hands were gentle even when rough from work, the way his laughter, rare but real, lit up the dark corners of that saloon. One evening, when the sun dipped low and painted the sky in gold, I found myself telling him about the scar. About the fire. About how I carried my sister through smoke so thick I could barely breathe, how I nearly lost my life but saved hers. How afterward, men looked at me different, some with pity, others with disgust. Luke listened. Really listened. When I finished, he didn't speak right away. He just reached across the table and took my hand, calloused against calloused. "You're stronger than any man I've met," he finally said. "Don't ever forget that." For the first time in years, I believed it. Life didn't suddenly turn soft after that. The prairie was still hard, the night still lonely, and the road ahead still uncertain. But I wasn't walking it alone anymore. Luke had seen past the scar, past the broken pieces, to the woman I truly was. And somehow, he made me believe I could be loved not despite my scars, but because of them. So when I think back to that night, the night a biker ripped my shirt in front of the whole bar, I don't remember the fear. I don't remember the shame. I remember the moment silence fell. The moment a scar spoke louder than cruelty. And the moment one man, steady as the western horizon, chose to stand by me. And from that night on, my life was never the same. Do you want me to also create a YouTube-ready description, tags, and hashtags for this story, like we did with your previous one's Protector, and, in time, my love? The West is a hard land. It takes more than it gives. But sometimes, when fate is kind, it offers a second chance. I found mine in the cry of a baby, and in the arms of the man who chose to take us both in. And I will spend the rest of my days thankful for it.